guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Oh God, I'm gonna give you guys a minute to come in. I'm excited about today's live. So sorry that I had to reschedule from yesterday to today, but I am here. And I hope that I wasn't supposed to go live at 3 because when I logged on, I was like, was I supposed to go live at 3? But I swore when I looked an hour ago, it said at 6. So anyway, hopefully this still gets to you guys if you are interested in my recap of America's Next Top Model, which was aired on Netflix. Just to let you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with America's Next Top Model, but it came out in 2002. Like, we're going to get into all the details about it. I do want to wait for some more people to come in so we can have this discussion, honey. And yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot. So I watched it once, and my initial thoughts when I watched it, I was like, oh. But then, of course, since I was like, you know what, I'm going to recap the show, I'm going to review it. And I said, so let me go back and watch it, from a standpoint of where I'm going to do my notes. And, so when I rewatched it again, I was like, it got worse. So I was like, oh, like it was already kind of like, what's the word that the kids be using now? Like cringe. It was already cringe the first time that I watched it, but the second time I watched it back, it was like even more cringe. But anyway, let's get into it. Hey Harlem, hey, thank you for joining me on this amazing, over here on the East Coast, it's a slight bit rainy and dreary day. Hey Andrea, thank you so much for joining me, guys, like for real, because like I said, I was supposed to go live yesterday. Life happened and I had to reschedule for today. I haven't had a chance. Yeah. So let me tell you, when you go back and watch it, and you know what? Everybody is different. Everybody has their own feelings about everything. Everyone has a different opinion. Some have the same and some are different, and it's okay. But for me, it was bad. Like the second time around, even worse. So I wonder, like, if I watch it again, which I probably won't watch it again because I'm like over it now, but I'm definitely like here to discuss it. You know what I mean? But after this discussion, I don't want to see nothing else about it. I don't want to, unless it's some breaking news on top of what we watched, which I doubt because this stuff has been going on for a long time. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, child, because we're already 3 minutes in. I was waiting for some more people to come in, but like I said, this was rescheduled. So, all right. So for a lot of you that don't know, so today in this video, we're going to be discussing Netflix's new show called Reality Check, America's Next Top Model. So if you don't know what America's Next Top Model is back way back when I was a teenager, in my young 20s. I don't even remember how I was young. I remember this show came on and I was like, I'm gonna be America's Next Top Model. I was like, I'm gonna do this show. Okay, I'm gonna do this show. I was in my mid-20s. I was like, I'm gonna do this show. But what had happened was I was on the thicker side and I really wasn't happy with my weight. And I said, you know what? Modeling is something that I want to get into. It is something that I want to do. I said, so you know what I need to do? I need to lose some weight. So I said, I'm gonna work out. So I did. I worked out because it was a dream of mine. I wanted to be a model. So I worked out, and I lost 150 pounds. And I went down to a size 6 and I was so happy with my weight. So yeah, it was a feat because twice in my life, I've lost 150 pounds. Ironically, the first time was when I was younger in my mid-20s. And then after I had my daughter, when I was pregnant, I got up to like almost 260 pounds. So I had gained a lot of weight. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, this baby weight, I have to get this weight off of me. So once again, I lost another 150 pounds. So I did it twice in my life. So for all you people out there, and to each his own, that are doing the Ozempic and the shots and the this and that and da, da, da. In real life, you got to get your butt in the gym. You do. It was to the point where I got so ripped. People were like, you need to start doing competitions. My mom was like, you look like boy. No more workout. No more workout. You boy. Your body boy. Men don't want you. Men don't want you no more. So she went on me because I did. I got really ripped. I got really cut. And honestly, the only way to lose weight and to really get those kind of results, those healthy results, so there aren't any and it's just my opinion, so there aren't any side effects and stuff like that, like later on, is you have to go to the gym and you have to eat right. That's honestly what I did. And it didn't happen overnight. Both times it took me, the first time it took me almost 2 years to lose 150 pounds, because of course you lose some, you gain some, you lose some, you gain some. So it's like a back and forth, back and forth. And then it was a time when I was like standstill and I didn't really like, I had plateaued and I wasn't really like doing anything. And I was like, oh my God, and you got to change up things. You know what I mean? So anyway, enough about that. But, oh, you laugh, you laughing at my impression of my mom, honey. Yes. But anyway, so let's get into it. So I was like, I'm gonna be an America's Next Top Model. That's just what it is. So I did. I lost the weight. But anyway, ironically, when it was time for me to go, I was like, I'm about to go audition. This year, I was like, I'm about to go audition. I think I was 27 years old, or I was 26 and I had just turned 27 years old. So I was like, this is the year, okay? Why, when America's Next Top Model came, it was time for me to go. You know how you go into like fill out your application and get all the information? Honey, they was like, the cutoff for America's Next Top Model was like, let's say it was 26 years old. I don't know if it was 26 or 27, and I was 27, turned 28. I had just had like my birthday in August, and I want to say it was time to apply like in October, and they were like, yeah, the cutoff age was 26. And I had just turned 27. So I was devastated. But anyway, we're going to get a little bit into my modeling career and towards the end, because we're going to talk about America's Next Top Model now. But we're going to talk about like my whole modeling thing, because I want to give y'all the back end, and that's what this live is here for. We're going to talk about America's Next Top Model, and then we're going to dive into the covers of the magazines like Smooth Magazine, King Magazine, Strength Stunting Magazine. Shout out to those magazines. But we're going to talk about how those girls got into those magazines. And that I do know firsthand, because I was around and I was within the industry when that was going on. And I'm going to tell y'all the real hard, nasty truth about how it happens. But anyway, I got my notes on my phone. It was a lot to talk to for America's Next Top Model. It was a lot. And I wanted to make sure that I was coming to you guys, especially because I was model. I modeled for 10 years. So it's like, I'm not someone that's just like, let me sit and talk about modeling and I really don't know what's going on. No, I do know what's going on. Yeah, so modeling is not easy. It is very, very tough. I want to say I commend all these women that ended up going on America's Next Top Model, and any woman that is out there like modeling, especially starting off, it's not going to be easy whatsoever. Like, it might be glamorous, and just like anything, it'll be glamorous, you know, afterwards, after you get the money, after you become the actress, after you become the top model, after you become the millionaire entrepreneur, you know. But no one talks really about, or you really don't pay attention to the stories from the beginning and how it starts and what you got to do to get there, you know. So I do commend these women, and unfortunately for them, America's Next Top Model was starting at the bottom and going through all that BS like anybody else does within the industry to get to where they need to be. You know what I'm saying? So even though you're on TV and they glamorize it because you're on TV, in real life, it was not a good thing. But anyway, I made sure I took some good notes. So I am going to be reading, because I want to give you guys as much content as what I saw. And then I'm going to give you my point of view. And then, of course, I would love for you guys to go into the comment section and It's J Dub says, I look at a supermodel every day. Which supermodel do you look at, Mr. It's J Dub? No, y'all know that's my husband. So, he talking about me. Hey, babe. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into my notes. Of course, please, like I said, I want you to comment in the comments section. If you're watching the replay, please comment down below and let me know what you think about America's Next Top Model and how you feel Tyra was portrayed, how you feel like how they did the girls. Like, are you biased? Like, your thoughts about Shandy, about Danny, just any of them. Just definitely put your comments down below for the replay game. So we're going to start off by, you can definitely find the show on Netflix. You can't find it anywhere else. Netflix wants all the money, so you got to go there to watch it, okay? They did 3 episodes, all right? So the first episode, they pretty much start off in like the beginning, and it also like starts the beginning of America's Next Top Model, how it got started, yeah. So the very first thing, Tyra walks in, she sits down, and she says, I haven't said much about this, but now it's time. So those were her words, and that's how the show begins. So she said pretty much with America's Next Top Model, like after modeling, she had went through all the ripping and roaring, and then she was just like, Dad, you know, like I want to do something different. I want to, with me being a woman of color and the trials and tribulations that she had to go through and all the defeats and the bridges and all this stuff that she had to go through as being or with being a colored model, she was like, yeah, so I want to do something for my girls that's different. That's not, you know, the white girl that's a size 0 that has blue eyes and blonde hair or whatever the stereotype is for what they thought that a model should look like at that time. So Tyra, of course, was like, I want to do something different. So she said that she wanted to create a TV show on how to become a model and to showcase all the different types of beauties. Okay, so that was her idea back in 2002. Okay, so she had this idea, and then of course she contacted Ken Mock. Ken Mock is an executive producer. He was the one that actually created the making of the band, and then he became the executive producer of America's Next Top Model. So of course she pitched it to him. He was intrigued, and then, you know, they moved forward, and he was like, we can do this. This is definitely going to be a hit. So they ended up taking the show out to different television sets, not television sets, to different, to different networks, CBS, NBC, ABC, UBC, KTF. I mean, they went everywhere. And guess what? Everybody was like, yeah, no, we're not trying to do no reality TV show over here. Like, reality TV, like, oh, what you talking about? We're not going to do that. No, take it somewhere else. Get somebody else to do it. Okay. So that's how they were. I'm sorry. Y'all know I'm animated. So anyway, they do that. They go to the last and final straw. And even UPN said themselves, I forgot what the lady name was, but she said herself, she said, look, I already know they came to UPN. And when they came to UPN, that was the last straw. That was the last of the stops. There was no more. You got to get off the train. Because once you get off the train, it's going to fall off the hill. Because guess what? There's nowhere else to go. This is the last stop. UPN was it. That's it. What you going to do? So, you know, UPN, so they was like, we're going to take it to UPN. And guess what? UPN said, yes, we want America's Next Top Model. So they had to think of like a concept, whatever. So they did. And then it was finally, America's Next Top Model was finally born in 2023. Excuse me, 2003. Why do I do that? Every time I talk to you guys, I always add a 2 in front of whatever, whenever I talk about the year 2000. It's so weird to me. But anyway, so the show was born in 2003, all right? When the show aired, ratings went sky high, okay? Like people couldn't get enough of it. People was talking about it, they was tweeting about it, and as soon as the show aired, of course, like Jay said, Tyra went, we're gonna get into it, her makeup artist, she went on the internet to see what people was talking about, AOL, the whole dial up, okay? And it was a hit. And they was loving it. And guess what? I was one of the people. I was watching it and I was loving it. I was like, okay. I was like, this is going to be cute. And guess what? It was reality TV. Back in the early 2000s, we didn't have reality TV like that. I think the first one was like The Real World. Anyway, we had reality TV finally like coming up. That was one of the shows that has started for reality TV. And it caught our attention because it was something new. All right. So anyway, moving forward during the course of the show, of course, they had, or she had to get people to be on the show with her. So they ended up getting Jay Manuel, which is, hold on, where's my notes, child? They ended up getting Jay Manuel, which he was Tyra's makeup artist, but then he ended up being like one of the judges, and he was like the photo shoot director. Then they ended up getting Miss J, honey. Miss J was like the catwalk queen. Okay, so Miss J was the person that actually taught the girls how like to walk or whatever, and Miss J actually taught Tyra when she was 17 years old. So she was like, yeah. So honestly, Miss J was the first one that she had thought of to add to her crew for America's Next Top Model, because all she did was pitch the show. And this is another thing, guys. This is what I'm going to say. I should have brought some water. I always bring water because my mouth is going to get dry. Look where this started off from. This started off with a small idea, very, very small, in somebody's head, and she brought it into fruition. How amazing is that? And look what it blew into, just from a thought and her believing in herself. You know what I mean? And she had to go around and to find someone that believed in her as well. And then it just took off. So never give up on your dreams. So let me just throw that in there. Definitely never give up on your dreams, because you never know where this is going to end up. You know, you never know how this thing is going to go. Me and my husband, we say that all the time. You never know how this thing going to go, honey. You know, because one little small thing can change your life forever. But anyway, let's get into it. So we have Miss J, we have Jay Manuel, which is the makeup artist, and then so Miss J and Jay Manuel, they're actually gay, and pretty much the network was like, all right, so now we need someone else, pretty much. And they was like, yeah, well, y'all can get somebody else, but what you're not gonna do is I'm not gonna say they didn't say that, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna get somebody else on the show. But guess what? He needs to be straight, and that's really all I heard. He needs to be straight. Oh, and he needs to be handsome. So he needs to be straight and he needs to be handsome. So they ended up getting Nigel Barker. So Nigel Barker is the photographer for America's Next Top Model, and then of course all of these people, they have different roles, but they are judges within the show. All right. So moving forward, did I just like delete the whole thing, or is it because I need like my glasses? Anyway, so pretty much, so what happened was is they actually got the people and then they pitched the show. So instead of them pitching the show, they had to get it. So they got the people first. So moving forward, after that, during the time that America's Next Top Model was on the show, like all these different people like came on the show, like Janice Dickinson. I ain't really care for her. She was a witch on the show. She was real mean. She was nasty. I liked her on the fact, I loved her with the fact of she spoke her mind. You know what I mean? Like she didn't have a filter. I love people that don't have filters, and that's just real. But I don't really like or care for people that's real, that doesn't have a filter, but they're rude and nasty. And that's what I didn't like about her. And that's the personality that she brought, to the point where some of the other judges like clashed with her because of her personality. Anyway, moving forward. Shout out to Miss Misha. And then also too, you had like appearances from like Kimora Lee. She came on the show as like a judge, and like a bunch of like other people that came onto the show. Anyway, so during the show, on Reality Check, you had models that came on and talked about their story. So just a bunch of different random models from different cycles, or I just call them seasons, from different seasons that they came onto the show to talk about their experience on America's Next Top Model on Reality Check on Netflix. Okay, so Ebony was one of them. Ebony actually experienced negative treatment while being on the show. She was a darker skinned woman. She was beautiful. She had a low cut shaved head. It was pretty much bald, but then she had like this little piece of hair like right here. They was like, yeah, we gonna have to shave that off. So she shaved the hair off. The people that was doing her hair, they was like making fun of her and making fun of her hair and her hair texture. So it made her feel a type of way. You know what I'm saying? And then when she went to Tyra to discuss it, Tyra just responded by, like she was telling her like, yeah, like they was making me feel a type of way, whatever. They was talking about my hair texture, like they was judging me or whatever. And then I guess Tyra listened to her, and she pretty much was like, yeah, Tyra responded, was like, yeah, but they were saying that you have been coming on set ashy though. Like, you been ashy, girl. And the girl like, I came to this lady to Tyra to talk to her about me feeling like it was some kind of, like attack on my color, my skin, and you gonna talk to me about being ashy? So yeah, so that was Ebony. So she is one of the models that come on, and I'm just going to let you know now there were a few models that came on to discuss their journey, but I'm not going to discuss each and every model. You're just going to have to go and watch the show. I'm going to talk about the ones that kind of stood out for me that I felt like that I wanted to discuss on this recap. So that's what happened. So she went to Tyra. Tyra was like, yeah, okay, all right, with the hair situation, but girl, you can't be coming to set ashy, okay? Because it's showing up on the pictures and the retouching. When we retouch, it take a lot to retouch. So yeah, you need to make sure you put lotion on. And then she was like, okay. So she started putting lotion on and the oils or whatever to make her skin more moisturized. And then the girls at the house was like, after you put that oil on, can you like wipe the doorknobs? You know what I'm saying? Because oil is getting on the doorknobs and oil's just getting everywhere. And and she got offended by that. So it's like, I understand. Like, yes, you don't want, because I know when I put lotion or anything on, you want to make sure I usually take my sleeve and I do like this, and then I'll open up the door, So it's like, I get it. You don't want oil everywhere. But of course, with Ebony and how she was feeling because of what she had just gone through on top of the girls that were not, women of color, kind of talking to her and being like, yeah, that oil, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I could understand how she was in her feelings, So yeah, and that was a lot, I'm sure, for her, early 20s young lady trying to be a model and then experiencing all, kind of this negativity. Yeah, it's messed up. So anyway, she felt like she was being treated because she was darker skinned. She went on to discuss the PTSD pretty much that she had from the show throughout the years. And when she was on screen talking about it, she said that she hadn't discussed this in years since then because of it. So I'm glad that Ebony was able to come on the screen on Reality Check and talk about, the issues. And I'm sure that that was probably, it made her feel kind of, I don't want to say vindicated. I'm just going to say it. I'm sure she really felt like, you know what? I'm glad I was able to have this opportunity to finally get things off of my chest. Hey, to go to Africa. All right. So Giselle was on there. I don't have really too much to say about Giselle. She was not really confident on there. She was had a lot of emotions during the show. When they changed her hair, she cried a lot. So she was just real emotional on the show. But like I said, it's a lot of women that was on there that I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the ones I'm going to talk about, though. Okay. So next up, we have Shandy. Shandy was in Cycle 2. She worked for Walgreens. She was tall, blonde, Caucasian girl. Pretty much in the show, what had happened was, so they had went to, I want to say Paris, or they went somewhere in Milan. It was somewhere, and it was an after party. So Shandy and a couple of the other girls were at this party, and at this party there were male models that were on the shoot previously. So they came back to their place to have a party. Okay. So it was alcohol. They was having fun. They was, I'm sure the girls needed to like unwind or whatever. For me personally, I wouldn't have had no guys there. No phones, no men, no alcohol, no nothing. But guess what? It's a TV show. So Shandy, during this episode and during the scene, she had too much to drink. And of course, she's on screen on Reality Check and she's talking about her story. So she had too much to drink. She was, pretty much under the influence. And she says that she really doesn't remember much. She says that she had pretty much blacked out. And she was in the hot tub with the guy. They was, kissing, they was making out. They ended up going into the bathroom. They was kissing, they was making out. I think they was ended up taking a shower. The cameras went into the bathroom. They didn't really show much of that scene or whatever. It was really nothing to show because they were like over there, like, I guess in the shower, you could just like hear them kind of making out. And then she says she went to the bedroom. She kind of blacked out. She don't remember nothing else after that. And then she woke up and she remembered like, oh shoot, I think we were intimate. So with her story on Reality Check, and I remember watching that episode when it first aired. When I watched it, and I think this is when I'm gonna have an unpopular opinion. My thing is that she feels like the show should have stopped filming. And in their, not their defense, but they said pretty much the reason we didn't stop filming is because it's a reality TV show. Like, if we're going to record, we're going to record everything. As a matter of fact, I just finished watching Love Island. And instead of having people going, following you around, it's cameras in every little corner, under a bush, under a table, in between chairs, over here, over there, over there. They got showers, they got cameras in the bathroom, they got cameras in where they sleep. When the lights cut off at night when they sleep, it turn into the black light where they can see in the dark. Like, it's a reality TV show. So it's like, I get it. And yes, they are right when they say you sign a contract, you sign a disclaimer saying, I know that I'm being recorded at all times. Now, she says she feels like that they should have stopped filming once that was happening. Of course, they didn't film like the actual situation, but they filmed her in the bed kissing the dude, whatever. So because she was intoxicated, it was made to seem like, and even her conversation, it was made to be seemed like she was essayed. S-A-A-S. Yes. So it was, like she was being taken advantage of, or she was being taken advantage of. My thing is that two things could be true, but my thing is you should have known about your alcohol. You should have known, you know what, I'm getting too much. And yes, maybe the friends should have been like, yeah, she good. But I know in my situation, and I'm going to say this about me, it's been times when I've been under the influence and I might have had one too many, but guess what? I'm still functioning. I'm still moving around. I might have been drunk. But I was like, oh, I'm having a good time. Okay. So people probably looked at the situation like, she seems like she's handling the situation. And then she didn't, I guess, pass out until she got into the bed. So that is when, it was a problem. But after I watched it back, I said, okay, what the problem is the problem wasn't SA at all. The problem is that she cheated on her boyfriend. Okay. That was the problem. And I feel like because she was so embarrassed about what happened, because I'm sure it's a lot of people, and I'm not trying to diminish her situation, not by far at all, because I would hate for my daughter to be in a situation like that. You know what I'm saying? But I know with me, even my daughter being as young as she is, I talk to her about things like, when you get older, when this happened, da, 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 da. So when she is 21, 22, or 23, however old Shandy was at the time, I think 21 or 22, she gonna know better. You know what I'm saying? So because when you know better, you do better. But my thing is it wasn't so much of her being under the influence. It was more so that she was pissed off that it was being filmed and her boyfriend at the time was going to have to watch her back kissing all over this dude and being intimate with this dude. That was the problem. So, I think it's, crazy that, she has flipped it, in my opinion. And like I said, this is probably an unpopular opinion. She has flipped it to make it seem like that the producers did wrong, like the people around her didn't do her right. And then everybody was wrong. Everybody was wrong and they shouldn't have let it happen. To me, it looked like you was having a good time. You was out the country. You was trying to get some Paris penis. And, both y'all was drunk. Y'all ended up being intimate, but guess what? You had a boyfriend at the time and it was filmed. That's what it looked like to me. So it's just an unfortunate situation, because one thing that does like hit my heart is that it still bothers her to this day to think about, like, her actions and during that time. And pretty much she's standing on how, production should have not filmed it. So I get it. Production should have not filmed it, but you shouldn't have been kissing and sleeping with other boys when you had a whole man that believed in you and said you can go on this TV show. And he probably didn't think that his woman that he moved to New York for to pursue a modeling career was going to end up getting Paris penis. It's just my opinion. Sorry, guys. But let me know what your thoughts are down below or in the comments if you have any. Yeah, so that's my thing on Shandy Danielle, aka Danny. She was also on a show where Reality Check, where she told her story. She was on cycle 6. Tyra pretty much said that, so she had a gap in her tooth, and she was also on the show. So reality check, and she was on the show. So when you watch this back on reality check, you'll see Danny's story. So she has a gap, beautiful woman. I thought she was beautiful with the gap. My daughter had a gap. I told my daughter, don't get rid of it, girl. Don't get rid of it. She was like, I hate my gap. I was like, trust me, when you get older, you're going to appreciate and you're going to love your gap. I promise you. She was like, no. And she ended up getting braces anyway. Danny had a gap. So they pretty much was like, so Tyra was like, yeah, so we're going to send some to y'all because, beauty is this and that. And, we're going to send you to the dentist. We're going to send all y'all to the dentist. But the only 2 girls that went to the dentist was her and another girl. So she ends up going to the dentist and she's sitting down and the dentist is like, what you here for? She like, he like, what you want to do? She like, I got a receipt and gum line. Like, maybe you can help me, do something with that. And I'm sorry. And he was like, well, what about your gap? She said, oh no, I'm keeping my gap. He like, because I'm sure he got instructions. She like, no, I'm gonna keep my gap. He like, you gonna keep your gap? She like, I'm gonna keep my gap, but not just my gums. He like, oh, okay. So she ends up going back. She ends up going to like not deliberation, but towards the end where they do like the stand in front of the tower and the judges or whatever, and they realize like she ain't get her gap fixed. Like, what, you ain't get your gap? Yeah, what's going on? So Tyra pretty much told her, if you stay on this show, or if you want to stay on this show, you're gonna need to fix your gap. Period. You gonna stay on the show. If you're not gonna fix your gap, you're gonna have to leave. You gotta go home today. You gotta go bye-bye. So what you gonna do? So Danny was pretty much like, like she couldn't call her mom, she couldn't call anybody, because that's what the other girl said. Like, you had to make the decision. So Danny was like, Dad, like, I'm trying to get out of the ghetto. I'm trying to, like, she's saying all these things in the beginning of her story. She like, Dad, I'm trying to get out. Like, I'm trying to make it. I can't, like, this is my only chance. And that's how she was feeling. So she was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to get my gap fixed. So she ends up getting her gap fixed. She ends up staying on the show. Anyway, child, she didn't want to get her gap fixed. Then what had happened was, on another season, after her season, there's a girl that has a slight gap in her tooth. Tyra gonna go up to the girl and say, you know what you need? You need a bigger gap. So on cycle 6, you told Danny you're gonna have to close your gap if you want to stay on this show. But 5 seasons later, a white girl come on the show and she got a little gap, and you like, yeah, if you want to. She said no, she didn't even give her an ultimate. She said, you know what would look good on you? You should make your gap bigger, like Lauren Hutton or something. Like, I forgot the lady name, like Lauren Hutton. Like, that would be amazing. The girl pretty much was like, look, whatever you want me to do, you know what I'm saying? Tyra sold her so a long time ago. Like, whatever you want me to do, she like, I'll do it. I'm sure if they told her to pull out her front 4 teeth, she would have done that too. But anyway, so of course time has gone by. The girls are on reality check. They're talking about their life and their story. So yeah, Danny mentions that. And that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, moving forward, child. So Danny pretty much says towards the end of her, interview when she's on reality check, she says that because she was on the show, it put a stigma on her. Doors would not open in the modeling industry for her because she was on the show. Like, she would go and do, she would go to calls and stuff like that, and she would be put last, or they wouldn't even see her, or they would, they pretty much didn't treat her like they treated any other model that was qualified for the job, which if she was called or whatever for the job or whatever, it was because she was qualified. But because she was on America's Next Top Model, they didn't pick her. Danny also goes on to say, like, she contacted Tyra, or she talked to Tyra once, and she was like, yeah, like, you knew this, like, why ain't you like do something? Tyra was like, I should have did something about it, but I didn't, So the reason that these people didn't want to book America's Next Top Model models, because they were scared that they would steal the shows. For example, if I'm a fashion designer, I'm putting on a fashion show, and guess what? I have Danny, America's Next Top Model, on the runway modeling my clothes. But guess what? I got 13 other models, and guess what? They're wearing my clothes. So the designers was feeling like, while my clothes are on the runway, the people not gonna look at my clothes. They're gonna be so starstruck looking at Danny. So yeah, so it was a stigma on her. So it was like she did all this to be on America's Next Top Model. She fixed her gap and did all this, and guess what? She go out into the real world and she couldn't get no jobs. And Tara ain't do nothing about it. And Tara said that she knew that that would happen. Okay, so that's a lot. But shout out to Danny, honey, because Danny is beautiful. She thrives. She got the key to the city, so she's doing the dang on thing. So shout out to Danny. But anyway, that's Danny's story, child. And with her, Joni was the girl. She was a white girl. She had a tooth that was up here, and then a couple of teeth over here was a little bit crooked. Honey, they made her take out all 4 of her teeth. It was so painful looking. Literally, they had the gas thing on her nose, and they had taken out all these teeth. And they said she was on the chair for such a long time. And I know me and my husband, we was talking about it. I don't think you can even have that gas on your face for a long period of time. And she was on there, like it said, 10:30 p.m. And I'm sure that they didn't get there at 10, you know what I'm saying, 7:00 p.m. So they was there for a long time. They pulled out all her teeth, and she was so excited because guess what? She felt like she always wanted to get her teeth fixed, but she didn't get her teeth fixed because it was so expensive. So she was grateful for the opportunity, but she said she was in so much pain. But guess what? Even after that, she got her teeth pulled. She said to this day, she still has problems with her teeth. Like she has major orthodontic problems because they had pulled her teeth for the show. And guess what? She didn't win. Okay. But anyway, let me go. I see some of the comments coming here. J Does said Tyra sold her soul a long time ago, honey. Harlem says Danny used to model for a New York and Company. You know what? I think you're absolutely right. I remember her pictures, I think. That's when New York and Company was hot, honey. Oh my God. I think Eva was the most successful from the show. She's on the Queens something. She got a TV show right now going on. Is it on Netflix? No, it's not on. It's on Philo. No, Peacock. No, I can't remember. She got a show going on right now. She was on A Suit to Talk. She's very successful. She done been on TV shows. She done been on movies. Eva is very, very, very successful. And ironically, she's only like 5'6", and she won America's Next Top Model. So shout out to Eva Marcel. That's her name. Yeah, she's very, very successful. That laughing gas will take you to the other side. Ask me how I know. How you know? So that was Joni's situation. So yeah, she did all this, and that's another thing about beauty standards, even nowadays. Like, think about all the girls that's out here getting like breast augmentations. They're getting like butt jobs and, illegal shots and all this and no hate, okay? And all these things to transform their body for the standards of today. And the standards of today is to have like an hourglass shape, to have the Kim K body, and it's so crazy because in a sense, back then, it's kind of like the same concept what they was doing with these girls on this modeling show, like how the girls are today. Like, and then this girl, she got orthodontic problems to this day. She like in her 40s, her 50s. Like, is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it worth it? And then a lot of this stuff, like girls are unaliving them. They're not unaliving themselves, but they're being unalive because of these surgeries, because they are so pressed to have the standard of what they think that how their body should look. It's so unfortunate. Excuse me. And honestly, I know a few girls that have like those butt shots, and for real, those butt shots will unalive you. I don't know if you guys know too much about it, and I'm not going to talk about because it don't have nothing to do with America's Next Top Model, but your booty cheeks, like they get hard, like it gets black, like it's black spots, because what happens is your flesh, it starts to die. And that's actually what Cardi B has. And Cardi B actually mentioned recently that she was going to get her butt shots out, or her implants are out. They're not implants, they're butt shots. And in order to remove them, that's a process as well, because you have to drain it. I think K Michelle, she ended up doing it, and that stuff will kill you. People don't understand how serious it is. I've actually touched the girls, backside, because I was like, "Ooh," she was like, "Yeah," she was like, "I need to get these removed, girl." Da, da. I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, girl, you need to go to, like, I ain't tell her because I didn't want to scare her or whatever, but I was like, can I touch it? She was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And I touched it. It was bad. So when they be talking about how like booties stink or whatever, and how that, so yes, because your flesh is dying, so it can smell, but that's, a whole nother story. So they also block your blood vessels. Yeah, absolutely. JW was Pickford. Yeah. Yep, All the Queen's Men. That's what Kimberly. Yep, that's the show that Eva is doing right now. And honey, it's on like its third, fourth season. It's yeah, she's doing good. To Go to Africa says Tyra should know that with many African Americans in various African cultures, gap symbolizes beauty and wealth. Some African people have undergone painful procedures to create one. Exactly. And I think, you know what? Not that I think. Honey, you see what TV will make you do? TV, ratings, everything. Production, like, you have to give it to them. Like, a lot of people, when they talk about editing and when they talk about production, in real life, production is there to get the footage and then put it out. It's up to you to give them the footage. So when people be like, it was edited, it might have been editing, but you gave them the bits and the pieces for them to put together. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like, they want to show. So it made for good TV. Unfortunately, Tyra probably knew all of this, but Tyra did not care. Okay. She cared about that shmoney. Okay. So it's unfortunate, but yes. So that was a situation with the teeth and Joni. So then we have Kenya. So Kenya was with season 4, the ladies from season 4, and she pretty much dealt with a lot of body shaming. Okay. So the judges were like, you're too fat. You're too, look at her. Like, oh my God, all this airbrushing. Look at her stomach. Oh my God. In one of the photo shoots, they were like, let's make her, because they were doing like the 7 deadly sins or whatever. And she was gluttony. Okay, and then like they were in the wild. I don't know if they were in Africa. I don't know where they were, but anyway, they had to do different animals. So let's just say one person is a cheetah, one person is a lion, one person is a giraffe. Honey, they made her the elephant. Oh, child. So, she was on Reality Check, and of course they went back and forth and they showed her journey on America's Next Top Model. And so pretty much, with them body shaming her, it was so crazy, because you think about the beginning where Tyra started and how she was like, I want to create a platform for girls that, look like me, for girls that look different, for girls that have different type of beauties, like different sizes, different ethnicities. So that was like her whole motto. So it's like you have Janice Dickinson just like eating Kenya alive about like her body shape, about her, and they edited like her like eating like this burger, I don't know, a donut or whatever, and they kept showing like the same footage, but of course we saw it was the same footage. They just kept repeating, like she was eating the same thing. So with that being said, with Tyra doing all like the body shaming and everything, or I mean, yeah, like doing that, it was crazy, because during that time too, they started to show how a lot of the girls developed eating disorders. So you see the girls like passing out, literally they're like this, ooh, I'm talking about they could have had brain injuries, head injuries, body injury. I'm talking about they just was fainting. They was they was going through it, honey. They was in bed. They was, had the girls in hypothermia. This don't have nothing to do with the body, but they was had the girls hypothermia, and they was not eat. They was in hot weather, so it was just a lot. But anyway, so yes, girls, the girl was sitting there eating the pickle, and the other girl was telling, she was like, "That's all you gonna eat for today?" She like, "Yeah." So, and it was just crazy how this show contradicted itself. Tyra contradicted herself so much, and in the show turned into everything she said she didn't want the show to be. She wanted to show a different light on modeling, you know what I'm saying? So how to become a model for different kind of beauties. Okay, so to show that, and like just to like have these women thinking like a size 6, like, oh, plus size. It was one scene where Tyra was like, she's like thick in the hips. They're like, yeah, her hips, I think it was Giselle, her hips are thick or whatever. And she was like, yeah, well, I don't know what size she was. Let's say she was a size 4. Tyra was like, well, you know what? Let's just tell her to pretty much eat so she could be a size 6, so she could be a plus size model. What? Anyway, so that was crazy. The fact that they showed these girls on the show with these eating disorders, but it was like them on stage as judges condoning that shit. What the hell? Like, we was cool with this? You know what? We was cool with a lot of stuff back then, because just like Tyra said in the beginning of Reality Check, she said the show did what it needed to do in 2002. But guess what? When the COVID hit, okay, people was at home. They had time. So they sat down and they was what? They was watching TV. They was watching a lot of TV. And one of the things that they was watching was this show. And then that's when people was like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? So that's what brought all this heat on it. And that's probably why they made this Netflix special, just to let you know. All right. So moving forward, child. So we still on Kenya. So she has a photo shoot where there were male models at this photo shoot. Okay. So this one dude was at the photo shoot. So he was like, yeah, like, let me get your number. Like, let me holler at you. She like, I don't have no phone. He like, well, let me holler at you. She was like, no, I can't hear right now. My ear hurt. I don't want you to holler at me because my ear hurt. I can't. He like, let me take you on a date. She like, I can't go on a date. I'm in the middle of a reality TV show. I can't go on a date. He like, well, let me call you. She like, I don't have no phone. So he is like stressing her out. Okay. They end up doing a photo shoot. So during the photo shoot, so they got the drummers in the back, you know what I'm saying? They dancing. She got 2 models right here, you know what I'm saying? And then is this other model right here, so he dancing on her like this, and she like, she like real uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying? The guys right here, they standing there, you know what I'm saying? They not like touching her or whatever, So this other dude, he like this, and he like this, and she like, stop. I don't feel comfortable. Because he over here, he's too close. He touching on me, and I'm not comfortable. Okay. So Jay like, did she just stop production? Did she just say cut? Did she stop rolling? He like, honey, he like, this is a professional set. What you talking about? What you talking? Get roll on 3, roll. So they pretty much ignored her. Okay. So they ignored her and during the shoot, she, was feeling a type of way. She was upset. She was crying. Yeah, she was not comfortable, Oh, makes me so mad when I think about it. Anyway, moving forward, they get to deliberation. Is that what it's called? Deliberation. The judges are standing there. She's like, Kenya, your picture. She didn't do that. She was like, your picture there, your picture's up there, her picture's up there. So the picture showed the guy had his hand on her leg like this. So she pretty much said at the thing, like, look, I was uncomfortable. And, ain't nobody, I said something, ain't nobody do nothing about it. And I really don't appreciate it. You know what I mean? And Tyra was like, well, when a situation like that happens, you need to be like, you better back up, boy. Like, I'm gonna knock you in your head, boy. You better stop, boy. You better stop playing with me, boy. Golly, like, stop playing with me. Like, I'm not playing with you. I'm serious. So Tyra in real life said that that's how she should have responded. Okay. Moving forward to reality check with Tyra sitting in the chair, they're talking about it. She's going back looking at the footage. Tyra was like, yeah, I could have handled that a little bit differently. I could have, but I gave her the best advice that I could have given her in that moment. That was the best advice I could have given her in that moment. I did the best that I could. But now that I think about it, I should have just stopped the photo shoot. Let's move forward. Do I need to keep elaborating on it? No, I don't. Jesus, Lord have mercy, Tyra Banks. Lord have mercy. Anyway, Tyra pretty much also said that she felt that she was empowering her with the information that she was giving her, okay? But now she understands that she was wrong, okay? And she apologizes to Kenya, like, on the screen. She's like, girl, girl, I am so sorry, girl. 25 years later, she's like, girl, I am so sorry. You was right. Like, I was wrong in that sense. Yeah, okay. Also to Kenya, she pretty much explains that she's in reality check. That's what we're discussing now, like her on the green screen, just 25 years later. She's pretty much saying, like, now with her pictures that she took on America's Next Top Model, she can't even use those pictures for her portfolio. She like, I did all that work on America's Next Top Model. I took all them pictures, endured all that pain, okay, to take these pictures and to put them in my portfolio, and I can't even use them. You know why? She had on too much makeup. They was overproduced, over themed. Like, that's not what a portfolio is. I know, I've had a portfolio before, and yeah, what it is it's a joke. Those pictures are a joke, unless a couple of those pictures in your portfolio would work. Just to let you know, for you models that's watching this, because you're probably going around now watching a whole bunch of America's Next Top Model videos. So I'm here to tell you, yes, hey, modeling might be different in 2026, but it is good to have a few of those pictures in there, because that's considered back then, don't know now, like high fashion. So editorial. So if someone is looking to book you, they can see, like, oh shoot, like, this is how she looks on this picture, but this editorial picture with all the makeup and the high fashion and all that looks completely different, and she normally looks like this and she can look like this. Yeah, we want her. Let's book her. That means we can transform her into anything. Okay. But Kenya she goes on to say pretty much she did all that for America's Next Top Model and she couldn't even use the pictures, which, yes, is sad. Okay. It's a TV show. And now it's showing us that's exactly what it was. So anyway, things began to change where they had to start pushing the limits on the photo shoots. Because if y'all don't know, America's Next Top Model was on UPN for 22 seasons. So anyway, let me tell you, so things began to change where they started to push the limits with the photo shoots, like the themes. Okay. So they started to wear raw meat for clothes. So raw meat, like a slice of beef ribs, okay, a chicken wing, a here too, that they would put on clothes, okay? Like a bottom was made out of raw meat, like a bikini bottom. Yeah, so they would use raw meat for clothes. They had to walk in big plastic balls on water with glitter in it, with heels on, in the ball on a photo shoot. So that was one of the things that they did. Then they had to become a homeless person. And they actually took pictures with unhomed people. Can I say that? I don't know. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. So unhomed people in the photo shoot. So you gonna make me look like I'm homeless, but then you got real life unhomed people in the back of my photo shoot. Okay, so that was one of the things. And they had to pose with raw dead fish. Okay, so I think it was it Danny? I can't remember who it was, but they was like, it was like J. Manuel was like, "What's wrong?" She was like, the smell of the fish." He like, "Oh, suck it up," pretty much, while he's like way over there on the stands. Anyway, they had to be crime scene victims. Okay, so where it looked like they was unalived. Okay, and it was different scenarios. And then actually there was one model, her mom had a situation where she had was I want to say she was unalive from because I'm trying to talk with because we on YouTube. I'm not trying to get this video. So anyway, she had gone through something traumatic and they made her, mind you, this is a crime scene victim that they're doing a photo shoot for. So pretty much they put her in the same situation as what her mom had went through. And they, of course, they knew it. Okay, she talked about that too. But anyway, also too, the girls had to pose as, I don't know, can I say this, as a drug addict. So say for instance, if like some things like on their arms and like all this, like they was drugged out, like, yeah, so they pose as drug addicts. Oh, Jesus Christ. And then what had happened, oh, that's what it was. Thank you so much, Kimberly, because I didn't have notes because I was just like, oh my God, I didn't want to talk too much about that. So yes, she did become paralyzed because of that situation. And the girl, they did that situation as her photo shoot. And I think it was like in her head. Child, anyway, it was a lot. Okay. So yes, of course they had to move forward and try to change up the trajectory of like the photo shoots because it was getting boring. Yeah, you do the same thing season after season after season. So they had to change up some things. So let me tell you what else they I can't even talk. That they decided to change up, honey. They decided to change the ethnicities. The ethnicities of these girls. Man, I wish I had something to drink. I'm starting to. So I guess when COVID happened and you're watching this stuff back, you like, because I have forgotten a lot of these episodes. I have forgotten, but it made me remember when I was watching the reality show. So they ended up making one white girl into a black girl. They made a black girl into a Native American girl. I'm talking about literally changing the color of these girls' skins. They made a black girl into a Korean girl. They made a white girl into a traditional African woman with the headpiece and everything. Then, during that photo shoot, they had to hold a 3-year-old kid on their arm for the photo shoot of the ethnicity that they had been turned into. So they received a lot of backlash when it came to that season, cycle 9. And guess what? And that was in season 9, cycle 9, when that happened with the ethnicities the first time they did it. Do you know that like 4 or 5 seasons later, they ended up doing it again, even after the backlash? So they ended up making a white girl into a Tibetan or an Egyptian girl. I don't know if they did that with both. I don't know. Egyptian girl. And then they actually turned another white girl into an East Indian girl. How do y'all feel about that now? When I watched it back, that's why I said the first time, and you guys will watch the replay because I've been on for an hour. I'm not going to stay on too much longer, but when I watched it back the second time, like I said, the first time was bad. The second time it was like, it was cringe, but it was like even more cringe the second time I watched it. I was in awe to think that this was okay then. Like, you can't do that now, not even by far, not even a little bit, not even a little bit. But it's crazy how the things that are acceptable now are pretty cringe. But it's crazy because some of these things that was acceptable then, maybe they weren't acceptable, but we watched it and people loved it. Not so acceptable now, but then they have crazy stuff that's acceptable. It's just crazy how this world is and how people's mentalities and mindsets are. And it's so unfortunate that we have to live in this type of time with these type of people's like thoughts and morals and stuff like that. And it's just going to do nothing but get worse. So unfortunate. But anyway, so as they go on and they're picking the girls, and one of the things that Jay Manuel actually talks about is how towards the like photo shoots and stuff like that, he talks about how they used to pick the worst pictures. They used to pick the worst pictures. So that when they're going through the deliberation and they're looking at the pictures and they're like, oh, look at that picture. Look at the spit hanging from her mouth. Like, why pick that one? I'm pretty sure it was 75 to 80 other pictures you could have picked. Like, oh, look at that. She looks like she don't have no neck. Well, why didn't you pick one with a neck where it looked like she had a neck? He said that they picked bad pictures deliberately so they could have moments and that they could have a story in the decision making during the elimination process. Isn't that so crud? Tyra says that the toughest moment, so producers asked her, like, what's your toughest moment? She's like, So anyway, it was Tiffany. She said, yeah, I think Tiffany was my toughest moment. So she asked her about Shandy. She was like, Shandy? So yeah, that I already talked about Shandy. So Tiffany was the girl that was previously on America's Next Top Model, but she got voted off. She got taken off the show because she got into a fight at a bar. She was brought back onto America's Next Top Model for a second time for a second chance. And there was a scene on the teleprompter, like one of their challenges, where they had to read like, hi, my name is Tiffany, and I'm going to be wearing Itchy Caban, and I'm going to be showcasing Louis Vuitton, and I'm going to be rocking Fendi, and on top of that, I'm going to be all these like different designers. Y'all know I'm like a bad girl, so and and right now I am wearing Chanel, and to me it seemed like she had issues with reading. Okay. I feel like she was like, I can't do this. She literally was like, hi, my name is such and such. I such and such. I can't do this. And she left and they were like, where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you going? So anyway, make a long story short, she pretty much stormed off, and it seemed as if like maybe she had issues with not being able to read. So that's why she didn't want to do it. So anyway, she just was like, yeah, I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm not going to keep crying about it. I'm not going to be. And they're like, like, what are you like? What? I gave you a second chance. Tara's like, I gave you a second chance. Like, what are you talking about? She was like, I fought for you. I'm rooting for you. They're rooting for you. America's rooting for you. Like, what is going on? What are you doing? So the girl was trying to talk, and she literally, Tyra, lost it. She started screaming. She started yelling. Like, it was something that she had never portrayed before. She had never acted before on screen. So pretty much Jay Manuel says that this was the most disgusting scene on the show. The judges said that they were scared, that it was scary to see Tyra like this. Production had to like pull her off of like set and everything because how she responded. You know what I mean? And she says that on scene, during that scene, she says, I'm talking to you like this because this is how my mama would talk to me, like if she loved me or something to that effect. So she pretty much was saying like, this was tough love. And this is what she's giving you. Like, I gave you a second chance and all you got to do is read, even though you might get it wrong. All you got to do is try to read it. And the girl was like, no, I'm not reading it. I'm not reading it, and I'm good with not reading it. And Tyra lost it. She was like, Dad, I just sat here and gave you. I'm talking about she was screaming and yelling. So yeah, that was crazy. So they definitely showed that. And the judges, of course, talked about it. Jay Manuel and Nigel talked about how, and the other guy with the glasses, I forget his name. He was a sit-in judge at some time. So anyway, moving forward, after everything, Jay Manuel said that everything began to feel heavy. Like these photo shoots, these new ideas, like stuff, like it was getting hard. Like I get it, because in real life, like people that actually have morals and values and, stuff like that, like you don't want to see people like have to go through these things, and in your heart that ain't right. Like that's not cool. Like something is not good. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Jay like, I'm not gonna do this no more. Here go my resignation. So he turns in his resignation. He like, I went on vacation. He like, I ain't hear from Tyra. Tyra ain't say nothing. I don't know what's going on. I gotta clear my mind because I gotta decompress, because that was a lot. So it was weighing heavy on him. He said like days and days later, he said he got an email back from Tyra, and the only thing it said was, I am disappointed, period. So he said he had contacted his lawyers. His lawyers was like, yeah, this was the situation, XYZ. Pretty much Jay said that he felt like he was going to be blacklisted. They asked him to come back for a season. He was like, so he ended up going back. He said that he got on set. Tyra was sitting beside him. He was like, finally, I get to finally talk to Tyra. He said, Tyra, girl, Tyra. Mind you, Tyra sitting right here. Tyra, girl, Tyra. So I'm Tyra. This him. I'm Tyra. Tyra, girl, Tyra, I need to talk to you. She like, so the show starts. The show goes on. Then all of a sudden, a situation comes up. So the camera's rolling. They're filming. So she goes, Jay, what do you think about this? So he said, so pretty much she don't got nothing to say to me. She only gonna talk to me while we film. Not only did he do one season, I think he ended up doing 9 more seasons. He said it was very, very uncomfortable for him. It was different. I guess, I don't want to say they demoted him, because I don't know what you would call it. In my eyes, I guess it would be demoting. So he went from being a judge doing this and that and XYZ, but now it's like he only just introduces the girls to like the next challenge or whatever. So yeah, so his time, of course, his position was changing on the show. So after 20 seasons, the ratings start to go down. They go in a different direction. So after they had did that to Jay, after he wanted to quit. After 20 seasons, they was like, we're going to change direction. Like, we got some new ideas. Okay. So a new contract was coming out. They was like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get a new contract. We're going to get some new bids in for y'all's salary, whatever. We about to make this thing pop. Okay. We about to do the dang on thing. They like, yeah, we excited. So Nigel excited, Miss J excited, Jay Manuel, we all excited. And guess what? They find out from a leak that all 3 of them have been fired. Out of here. Done. So that was the change, honey. Okay. So Jay Manuel also mentioned that, I think it was Jay Manuel said that with this show, it was like what got them ratings was the it factor, the drama. You know what I mean? And every season they had to have something that was drama. So they had to like figure out, what they were going to do next season. And he said, I guess we was the drama. The drama was Tyra from America's Next Top Model fired her 3 judges. That was the drama. So he was like, I guess we was the drama. So sad. But anyway, the show ends up leaning on gimmicks, and then it continues to fail, honey. They brought on the Kardashians. They made viewers the judges. She started doing the hoochie toochie to her booty, and pretty much all these different things and these gimmicks, and y'all see like the different clips of all the things that she tried that just did not work, and it was horrible. Okay. I want to say after they got voted off, I stopped watching. So I didn't even watch the show no more, but I didn't know it had gotten that bad. So pretty much after season 22, cycle 22, they pretty much said, you know what, we want to keep the show going, but we just don't want Tyra to host the show. And Tyra said pretty much that's why she fired the 3 judges, because they were like, she said, they made me. I had to. Like, I have a job to do, and my job was to fire them. Just like Nigel said, nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Just like she said, when she turns the card over, you want to see whose face is on the card. He said their faces wasn't on it. Well, this time Tyra's face wasn't on it because she was replaced with another host. Anyway, make a long story even shorter. No, make a longer story short. It was only on for 2 more seasons. The new host, it didn't work. They end up coming to the conclusion, like, you know what, it's just best, like with Ken Mock, the executive producer, because Tyra was gone, and after they were getting new hosts, they were like, it's just not going to work. The fire is gone. So they ended up canceling the show after 2 cycles. So after cycle 22, they made 2 more, so they made it up to cycle 24, so season 24. So after the show, Jay Manuel, Miss J, and Nigel, they went on to be very, very successful. You got to watch it. So congratulations to them. Like they benefited from this platform, and they became somebody off of it. And, you know, kudos to them. Yeah, use your platform. Unfortunately, Miss J, honey, watching this show, honey, I was crying. I was mad. I was upset. I was going through all these different emotions. So when they was talking about Miss J, I was like, oh my God, Miss J. Like, I was going through it. Okay, because you got to understand, I was in my early 20s. Like, you know, I'm old now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm older. I'm seasoned now. So to see this happen to Miss J, you know, it touched me to my heart, especially the fact that, anyway, let me talk about it. So Miss J ended up having a stroke in December of 2022. He was in a coma for 6 months. He couldn't walk. He couldn't talk, nothing. So by the time when he woke up, Jay Manuel and Nigel went to go visit him, and they pretty much all stayed close after that. You know, Nigel was like, after he came out of his coma, I know he probably did not want me to see him like that, but he was like, I don't care what he say. I'm going to go see my boy. Okay. So they did. They went to go see him. Jay Manuel and Nigel, and you know, yeah, they like checked up on him. Miss J actually said, the producers was like, you know, has Tyra come to visit? He said, well, she sent me a text and said she was gonna come to visit, but she still hasn't come visit me. So when they asked Tyra about Jay Manuel, like, have you contacted Jay Manuel, you know, like since or whatever, you know, like you want to talk about like what happened with you and him, like why you wasn't talking to Jay Manuel? She was like, I think it's I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna talk to him. I don't want to do it on here on camera on reality check. I'm gonna contact him. Yeah. So, honey, Miss J done had a whole stroke, and 6 years later, I don't know how many years it's been, honey, Miss J still waiting for Tyra to come see him. Okay, it ain't been that long. That's allegedly. I don't know how long it's been, but yeah. So towards the end, Tyra opens up an ice cream shop in Sydney. She says she lives in Australia now, and she says, you know what? But stay tuned, honey. Stay tuned because we got season 25 on the way. Tyra, nobody asked for season 25. Nobody wants to even watch the 24 seasons you had. Nobody asked for it. We ain't asked for it, Tyra. We don't want to watch it. Season 25, where? When? We're not gonna support. We're not gonna support you, Tyra. You know what's crazy? Tyra went on this documentary, and I promise you, Tyra went on this documentary thinking that this documentary, she probably got a good check. So she was like, let me get this money, okay? They was like, you know, she probably was like, well, what y'all gonna talk about? You know, we're gonna talk about America's Next Top Model. We're gonna, you know, ask you some questions. There are gonna be a few hard questions. You know, we're gonna ask you some questions. You know, we're gonna talk about the journey, like how it got started, how you got started, you know, where you are and everything. Tyra was like, okay, that doesn't seem too bad. That doesn't seem too bad. They like, well, you know, go ahead and sign on this dotted line. Let me tell you something. Exactly what Tyra did to them girls is exactly what Netflix did to Tyra. They gave her the okey doke, okay? Period. Tyra thought that she was gonna go in. She was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna use this moment to bring up season 26. Yeah, this gonna be the to set it off." I don't think that she knew that it was gonna paint her in a bad picture, like for real, or paint a bad picture of her. To me, it was not. To other people, they might be like, "Yes, Tyra, girl, yes, this was amazing, girl. I'm gonna always love Tyra." Hey, to each his own. For me, I don't mess with Tyra. I don't mess with Tyra no more. I don't know. Yeah. I don't. And the reason I don't mess with her, not because of the stuff that happened back in the day. I don't mess with her now because it seemed like she wasn't genuine. She wasn't authentic. I felt like her I'm sorry's was bullshit. Okay, we're gonna put it out there. I don't feel like that she was real. I felt like she did a lot of deflecting. She didn't answer a lot of questions. I feel like the fact that she hasn't contacted Miss J yet is on some and I think that's messed up. I think if the shoes was on the other foot, she would be moving a little bit, talking a little bit, and acting a little bit differently. Okay, I feel like that this show, shout out to Netflix. Okay, shout out to Netflix. Okay, you know, sponsor this video. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Netflix for standing on 10 toes. Okay, if Netflix had 11 toes, they'd be standing on that one pinky, the other pinky toe too. Okay, they stood by. They did what they had to do. And yeah, and I hope that this video, she watches back and she is humbled just a little bit more. Just humbled just a little bit more by this video, because I really feel like that she was just very insensitive. It just was given like, I'm here to show up because I want to promote season 25. That's what it was giving at the end. Okay. I could be wrong. Okay. But yeah, she didn't really take no accountability. It was a lot of deflection. It was a lot of insensitivity. She was very insensitive. Yeah. And, you know, and I felt like, you know, when the productions was asking her questions, she was like, yeah, you know, I'll call him. I'll call him. You know, like you playing in our face. You've been playing in our face for 24 seasons, and now you want to come on Netflix on the reality check? No, this was a reality check. Netflix checked you. Okay, terrible, horrible. Okay, so yeah, I hope this show definitely humbled her. But shout out to my brown skin girls, my black girls on the show, my dark skin girls of all the colors. Okay, beautiful. Because guess what, when it came back on reality check, my brown girls, honey, they all still look good, all still look fierce, skin flawless. Okay, they look great. Okay, so shout out to them. Okay, anyway, what else? Oh, and shout out to Eva Marcel. We already talked about it, but she is very successful in her career. Let me see. I see Tara and another light. I named my daughter after her. Woo! Harlem. Dang. Well, Tyra's a beautiful name, Harlem. Period, point blank. Okay. Kimberly said I won't be watching because I pretty much told you. I feel, yeah, I get it. I get it. Oh my God. Miss J made me so sad, but I heard he can take steps now. Yeah. Yeah. And it was so funny because I remember when I was watching the show, I was like, why isn't Miss J saying anything? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having a hot flash. I got to turn my fan on. I was like, why is Miss J not talking? You know, Miss J was giving a lot of, you know, like face and, you know, like, huh, child. Okay. You know, she was giving face, honey. Okay. But he wasn't really saying much. And I just was like, what is going on? But, you know, at the end, they explained it because he had a stroke. So I love the fact that Nigel and Jay Manuel and Miss J still have like a great relationship. It touched me to my heart. I cried the first time I watched it. I cried the second time when I watched it to take my notes, and me talking about it now, I'm getting a little emotional. So anyway, shout out to y'all. Definitely comment down below, but I'm not finished yet because I want to talk to y'all about, oh God, I forgot to get it. Okay, so I want to talk to y'all about real quick about the industry with King Magazine and Smooth Magazine and Straight Stuntin' Magazine and what are the other magazines? What are like the urban magazines that came out like 10, 15, 20 years ago? I can't remember. So just to let you know, I just want to give y'all a little backstory because we're talking about modeling, right? We're talking about modeling. So I'm going to just let y'all know. And the reason I want to talk about it is because It needs to be brought to light. And some of your daughters and sons are going to be models. And this is just some information I'm going to give you guys. Hey, they don't even do magazines anymore for real, like the Straight Sun and the King magazine. They don't do those magazines anymore. But I'm just letting you know the BS that is behind this. A lot of stuff, okay? A lot of stuff that you guys wouldn't know unless you experienced it firsthand. I have. So let me say, yes, I have been on cover of magazines. So yeah, I'm not just faking. I'm not just talking. Okay. So that's me. So that's me. That's me. I need y'all to like know, like, like I'm serious. Like I'm in this magazine too. And guess what too, y'all? My daughter is a published model. So that's me. I mean, a published photographer, not a published model. This girl, she wearing my clothes. My daughter took this picture too. So yeah, so just to let you know, so I do this for real. Like those outfits, those are my designs. I literally hand sewed these outfits. Sadora and myself took these pictures. So pictures of me like this, like my daughter took this picture. She's a published photographer. She was 9 years old when she took this picture. 9 years old, published photographer. So yeah, so I do this. You know what I'm saying? I've done this. Okay, Sabrina Soul. That's me. That's me. So all that to say, back in the day when I was modeling, with these magazines that were out, all the magazines I just named, and shout out to these magazines. I don't have no affiliation with them. This is not a direct attack to these magazines. I just want to put the disclaimer out. I'm not talking anything like bad about them. I'm just talking about my experience with them. Okay. So in order to get in these magazines, so this is me as a designer, not me as a model 20 years ago, to get into Straight Stunting, King, Smooth, whatever, the photographers, girls would be like, so let me start off. The girls would be like, I want to be in that magazine. I want to be on the cover. I want to be in these magazines. There were specific photographers that you worked with that worked with these magazines. So if you had X photographer, Y photographer, A photographer, B photographer, C photographer. So these 5 photographers, let's just say, work on this magazine. Let's just say Straight Stunting magazine. Then you got a set of 5 photographers that work for this magazine. This magazine is King magazine. But then guess what? You got a whole nother magazine where it's 5 more photographers. And guess what? All 5 photographers, all 15 photographers, they might know each other. They friends. They hang out. So you know that this photographer, because you follow him on Twitter, because Twitter was hot then. You followed the photographer on Twitter, or you saw that, oh, this photographer took this picture, and guess what? This picture is on the cover of Smooth magazine. So you reach out to him. You like, John. Hi, John. I want to do a photo shoot with you. Oh, yeah, I saw that, you be doing the cover of these magazines. Like, I'm trying to like get on the cover of magazine. Oh, they like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So what happens is okay, the photo shoot is going to be $800. And what I normally do is I submit the pictures of the photos that I take of the models. So all the models, that I work with, I'll take those pictures and I'll submit them to these magazines. So they like, for real. He like, yeah, child, yeah. So the girl pays the $800. She does a photo shoot with this photographer in hopes to get into this magazine, or better yet, the cover of the magazine. Now, mind you, this was back in the early 2000s when all the magazines was hot. When all the girls was in the bikinis and stuff like that, and they had baby oil all on them and stuff like, and the booty was out, and then they had like little straps on it. So that was during that time. Okay, so they would pay these photographers, and then the photographers would take the picture in hopes that the photographer takes these pictures and submits them to these magazines. Okay, these magazines, to be in the magazine or on the cover. That's all they want. So the photographers would be like, hey, Candy. Hey, yeah, I'm just letting you know that, such and such magazine is coming out with a new submission. And I'm thinking about, submitting some of your pictures, for the magazine. How about you meet me on Saturday and we could go have dinner, go hang out a little bit or whatever. And then we could talk about the pictures that you might, like want to put into the magazine. Guess what? He don't have no intention on putting your pictures in the magazine. But these girls want their picture in the magazine, okay? So they're going to go out to dinner. They're going to hang out. They're going to go get hookah. They're going to have a good time. They're going to take shots, shot o'clock. Okay, they're going to take shots. They're going to have a good time. And, they might hang out till wee in the morning, A week or two go by. And Candy called John. She like, hey, John, I had fun, whatever, like, did you submit my pictures? He like, yeah, I submitted, but they ended up going with somebody else. This photographer done got $800 from you. You done spent time with him. You gave him some milk and you gave him some cookies. That's real life, y'all. I remember when I was in the industry, and because I was very well known too, okay? And because I was on my grind, I was on my hustle, but guess what? I didn't have $800. I ain't had $500. I ain't had $300. I didn't have that kind of money to put, towards these photographers. So what I did was I said, I want to be on the cover of the magazine too, okay? I want to be a published model too. I don't know if y'all remember One Model Place, but I was on One Model Place. I wanted to be a model. And I'm seeing all these girls, and this is before I knew the story about behind the cover. So, what I did was I said, let me go and try to find an agency. I went to New York. I hustled. What you say? I was on that pavement. I went to New York. I went to all these different agencies. I got no. I had really, really bad skin, really bad acne. So they was like, your face, you got to clear your face. You got to clear your face, clear my face. When I was fat, they said I was too fat. You got to lose weight. So it was a lot. So it was hard for me to really be like a model. That's when I went into like the urban industry. And when I was trying to figure out how to get into these magazines, I ended up just finding work myself, because these photographers, they were just expensive, and I didn't have the money. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna find a way. So I went on One Model Place, and there was a couple of modeling websites. I can't remember what they were, but I went ahead and put my pictures up. I did a couple of photo shoots for photographers because they used to do TFPs, which means trade for your time for pictures. So what I did was, in the very beginning, I went and like saw like the photographers' portfolio and stuff like that, like online, and their pictures. I was like, oh, he does good work or she does good work. I want to work with them. I would go book the photo shoot, didn't have to pay no money. So I got pictures for free, but they got pictures to put in their portfolio to say, hey, I'm a photographer. Look at this picture I took of this girl. I can make you look like this girl, okay? Or I can take pictures like the pictures of this girl. So they would get more work. They would get more work because they were trading their time like I traded in my time. Okay. So with that being said, I built up my portfolio. I was like, finally. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to book myself with, I'm not going to give his name, Ray J's photographer. That's how he promoted himself at the time. Ray J's photographer. This was back in 2006. So I was like, oh, he was like, I'm coming into town. And they did that a lot. He was from LA. He was like, I'm coming into DC. Anybody that wants to holler at me for photo shoots, like hit me up, whatever. I'm giving a discounted price for only $300. I'm only going to be in town Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay. So I was like, I'm about to shoot with Ray J's photographer. Yay! So I was like, hey, I'm interested in doing a photo shoot. Yeah. He was like, perfect. He said, you know any other models that's trying to do photo shoots? I said, well, not really. I said, I could ask. I said, but I don't really think I know like any other models or whatever, because in real life, I just never really had that many friends growing up in my life, honestly. So I just didn't have that many girlfriends. So I just was like, no. He's like, well, find them. He says, if you find the girls, then I'll give you a discount on your photo shoot in XYZ or whatever. And then I'll give you perks or whatever. He was like, so promote me on Twitter. Cause I had a huge following on Twitter at that time. And I actually had a YouTube channel. And I want to say I had like 80,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel at the time. But in my modeling career, as I got bigger, I got scared. They pushed me away. A lot of stuff happened. It was messed up. That's a whole nother story. I'm not going to talk about it tonight. But I ended up deleting my Twitter account and I deleted my YouTube account. I don't know if it was 2006 because I always get the years mixed up and people was like, that's YouTube wasn't born yet. But whatever YouTube was started, there was no such thing as monetization at this point when it first started. So because I literally had a camcorder and I was going around recording stuff, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so I remember he came into town and I remember the photo shoot was taken at a swimming pool, and it was also at a location where like people were around or whatever. But anyway, to make a long story short, it was like he started to act weird and I just was like, like I'm, trying to do this photo shoot or whatever. And he's like, yeah, come here. He's like, whatever. Anyway, make a long story short, he tried to take advantage of me. And I was like, what is going on? Like, it was to the point where when I left there, I was so upset. And I was like, is this what it really is? Like, is this how the industry really is? So I really had to find out more about the industry and me being in it. And then once I did is hence when I found out about the models and the photo shoots and all this. And I just started to learn so much about the industry, the back end of it, and realized like how cruddy it was. I paid this man. I promoted this man for like 2 weeks before he came into town. I promoted this man and he ended up doing that to me. And then I was like, okay, so I was trying to be cordial because I'm trying to, even though like I was in my feelings because of what had just happened, I still needed my pictures. So it was like I still had to kind of be nice to him in a sense. Ugh. And for weeks, I didn't get my pictures for almost 2 months. I'm going to give them to you. But because I didn't fall into him being Ray J's photographer or him trying to, I can take you far, like once you get it, hooked with me, you get hooked with Ray J. And, and this was, back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. So I'm like, yeah, no, I was like, I just want a photo shoot. You know what I'm saying? So after moving forward and me just learning about the industry, I just was like, yeah, I don't want to ever do that again. I'm not going to really pay for pictures. It is what it is. I feel like that in this industry, I can really make money, and I had to figure out how to do it. And what I did was I said, I'm going to be a freelance. I'm not going to go to no agency. I'm not going to do anything like that because you do have to pay 20% if you do get an agent within a modeling agency. And that's just back in the day. I don't know how much it is now or what they do now. And you have to sign contracts. So if I'm an independent contractor or if I'm with an agency, and I get booked for a photo shoot on my own and they see these pictures circulating and I get paid for that photo shoot, the agency can either drop me or they can find me. They can do all kinds of stuff. But if I got paid for it, even though they had nothing to do with me booking this job, I still have to pay them. Agents, it just depends. Just make sure in anything that you do, read your contracts. So I said I didn't want an agent. I ended up being independent contractor pretty much. I self-promoted, and that's what I did because of the early 2000s up to 2010. Between that time, like it wasn't a lot of women that looked like me. Back in the day, people used to always be like, you look like Kimora Lee. And I remember I met her and I was like, Dad, we do kind of favor. So, and that was then when I was younger. So, I was 5'10". I was a size 6. Which was considered plus size, but I was like 145 pounds and I was every photographer's dream. So I just literally went on all these sites. I sent a lot of emails out and I just hit up a lot of photographers and were like, hey, I'm interested in shooting with you, if you are. And I also promoted myself once I did many photo shoots. I put on there now, hey, here are my rates. Okay. So if I'm going to do editorial, it's $300 an hour. If I'm going to do swimsuit, it's going to be $600 an hour. If I'm going to do a fashion show, it's going to be, $125 an hour. So I did that for like 10 years. Okay, I was in pageants, I did all kind of things. So I ended up making money. So instead of these girls paying $800 in hopes to get on covers of magazines, I was like, yeah, no, because at the end of the day, I might have wanted to be on a cover of a magazine, but the main thing was is I needed some money. Okay, I needed some money, and I was getting paid, and I got paid really, really good doing what I did as a model. So all you parents out there that are interested in their kids or whatever, and they talk about I want to be a model or whatever, just let them know that they really have to do their homework. Like, you just can't go with the first thing. You just can't be on a television show, a modeling television show, and think that it's going to give you exposure. It's going to help build your portfolio. It's going to take you to the next level, because with anything, it's always something that is not right about it. Okay, so anything that's too good can't be but so true. You know what I'm saying? So if it's too good, like, kind of like side at it and just do your homework. So all that to say, yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't expect to be on for an hour and a half. This was a lot. If you have any questions, I'm sure I would have seen. I know this was a story. I would have seen them on the side. But if you are a part of the replay gang, definitely down below, let me know like what you thought about reality check. This is definitely I hope it's a reality check for Tyra, and a lot of girls too that have watched reality check to say, ooh, like, that's not cool. I don't want to ever go through anything like this, and use this show, reality check, and these videos and stuff online that they see as something to say, like, let me do my homework, let me further investigate, let me really find out more about what I'm trying to do, because everything that look good ain't good. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I love you so much, guys. Thank you so much for listening to me talk. I hope I've been entertaining. If you have been entertained, please like the video, comment down below if the replay gang. Let me know your thoughts. And if you are new here, please subscribe. I have a video coming out because guess what? I just did my nails. I don't know if you saw me last week, but I had nails and I was like, I gotta do a fill-in. But anyway, I recorded a video with me doing my nails, and I'm going to be posting that soon. And I love you guys so much. Shout out to my moderators. Shout out to my soulmates that join me. Thank you so much, Harlem. And I will see you soon on the next video. Anyway, talk to you later. Have a great weekend and be safe. Please be safe. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.